kiddos. I do apologize, but you can probably tell I'm just a little bit buzzed. Sue me, sue me. So, I have to re-record this because the last music intro was a little too long. I'm here at Barlow's Knoll, aka Blocker's Knoll. Belonged to a farmer named Blocker, spelled I think B-L-O-C-H-E-R, Blocker. Yeah, you think it would be with a C-K, but it's not. But anyhow, this is formerly Blocker's Knoll, now known as Barlow's Knoll. And so this little battle, we basically have commanding the Corps, we got 00 Howard versus old bald head Richard S. Yo. Breaking things down just a little bit more. So I'm gonna park at some point here, but alright, so this is just a little bit after noonday on the first day. Alright, got a monument here to the 55th New York Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 3rd Division, 11th Corps. And wow, that wind just really picked up. But you know what, guys? I got the baffle on, and despite the wind, you would not believe it, it is about 80 degrees today. Still in early spring. But yeah, so you know, look, don't get it twisted, okay? The whole global warming. I've tried to tell you guys it has a lot to do with what the planet's going through, much sore than what that we're doing to the planet. Not that we're doing nothing, okay? But all things being fair, this is a planetary disturbance, and it's gonna keep up, guys, for as long as most of you are alive. All right? Just know that. Get it through your heads, and wait it out. And you tell me if I'm right or not, okay? Because this unpredictableness, these extremes, and most notably this oscillating pattern, okay, of about 3 days warm, 3 days cool, a couple days right at about the average, and up down. It's going to continue for a long time. Trust me. We've had lots of tornadoes in the Midwest. You know, it's springtime, so there's often a number of tornadoes, but I think they've been on a little bit of an uptick. And like I said, most meteorologists do not blame global warming per se. They probably know the truth, most of them, at least if they know what they're doing. Anyways, guys, I gotta talk about Barlow's Knoll. So this is afternoon, just afternoon. As you remember, the first day started off at McPherson's Ridge. We had John Buford and then John Reynolds until he was killed almost as soon as he entered the battlefield. All right, that's early morning. Then things basically just shift east from that direction over to this direction. After McPherson's Ridge, we basically have battle at Oak Ridge, which you can see right there. There's a tour bus up there. Way out yonder, you can't really see it, but there's the Eternal Peace Light Memorial. There's a railroad track and a railroad cut. All right, just to give you some orientation. Way back over there, you might be able to see the Adams County Historical Society's museum beyond the battle, which again, I very much urge y'all to check out. So, okay, we had McPherson's Ridge, we had Oak Ridge, and now we're at Barlow's Knoll just afternoon. So it's Ewell versus Howard at the Corps level. But a little bit more specifically, we have Robert Rhodes shifting over this way because he's been successful just before noon. All right, we got Robert Rhodes. Basically starting off, we got Robert Rhodes versus Francis Channing Barlow. Okay, I'd like to just reiterate that Francis Channing Barlow is a little bit quirky, all right? He is one of the few non-West Pointers. He did not have formal military training before this great and terrible war. Moreover, he is a Harvard brat, all right? And tell you a little bit more about Francis Channing Barlow. He was very xenophobic against his troops. His troops in this case, okay, so as we know, during the Civil War, between, it depends on, you know, whose numbers you're looking at, okay? But as many as a third of all Union troops at the Civil War were of German, well, let's just say were European immigrants, mostly being German immigrants, all right? German descent. As few, in some cases, or some particular battles, as few as about 1/4, okay, but sometimes as many as 1/3. And in this case, park the car because we're kind of here. We're, you know, there's not a lot to see up here. Say hi to the duckies. There's this one area here isn't laden with monuments, all right? It's kind of a lesser known and more skipped over area of the battlefield. I don't know why, things just work out that way. Like I said, everybody likes to ignore the first day's battles, and I'm not sure why. But over here we got Francis Channing Barlow, Harvard brat, and like I said, xenophobe against his own troops. So in this case, at the Battle of Barlow's Knoll, I'll let you get a screenshot. It's probably going to go over a lot of what I already talked about. Francis Channing Barlow's troops were about 50% German. About 50% German. He didn't like his troops, and his troops didn't like him. We'll get back to that in just a second, but I want to point out, I've got 3 minutes left almost. Out yonder, just a bit over here past this fence, we have the old almshouse cemetery. Now the old almshouse is no longer standing. It was either right behind the cemetery over there, maybe on the other side of the road that exists now, but I think it was somewhere over there. I could be mistaken. It was in this area somewhere in this direction, all right? So I'm not sure what these stones are supposed to demarcate. There's a nice row of stones here. So there's the almshouse cemetery. The almshouse was somewhere over in this direction, all right? And the almshouse is where the Union troops kind of made their last stand. They made a fierce last stand here on Barlow's Knoll. Getting back to Barlow, so he had advanced his line a bit. Now this was one of those things, there really were not, as far as most people know, any clear orders to stay put where he was, just a bit back to the south, or to advance. I really doubt that someone told him to advance. But the interesting thing is, so okay, back in the direction, like I said, Robert Rhodes is coming over this way, kind of, you know, somewhere. All right, he's actually that way. He's starting to come over this way, right? So Barlow advances just a little bit, right? And everybody likes to play, you know, armchair quarterback and harp on these people. And I used to fall for that too, let me just say. But it's not so easy and it's not so simple, okay? Because he may have known it or not. He probably didn't, but he may have. But while Rhodes is coming over from that direction, Early is just starting to enter the fray from this direction. That's why the cannons that you see are pointed over there. So he was about to get sandwiched, perhaps knownst or unbeknownst to him. All right, so you can't judge him too much for that. It's up for debate, you know what I mean? This is one of those things that people like to quibble about during the, you know, about the Battle of Gettysburg. I got to wrap things up. He was wounded during this battle, and the interesting thing, or not so interesting and not so surprising, is that his own men basically walked right by him when he was wounded. I believe he ended up at the almshouse for temporary treatment, though it could have been the Blockers farmhouse, which is somewhere over in that direction, alrighty. So the cannons, of course, you see were pointed at Early's troops who were just coming in with John Brown Gordon, who eventually kind of had no trouble in pushing everybody back. And that's where I'm going to end this taping here, because there is a part 2 that I already taped, and hopefully that didn't have any copyright problems. Guys, I'll see you later.